Okay, before we dive in, let me just say, this story, it's the kind that makes you believe in fate. Or maybe curse it. I'm still not sure which. But grab your headphones, dim the lights, and let's talk about Dimitri, a vampire who spent 116 years trying to forget the only woman he ever loved. Spoiler alert, he failed miserably. Bucharest, 1894. The ballroom of Count Petrescu's estate glittered like a jewelry box come to life. Crystal chandeliers cast fractured light across marble floors, and the waltz that filled the air was so perfectly Viennese, it hurt. Dimitri stood in the shadows near the terrace doors, watching. Always watching. 3 centuries of existence had taught him that observation was safer than participation. But then she walked in. Sânziana Petrescu, the Count's youngest daughter, barely 22, wrapped in emerald silk that made her dark hair look like spilled ink. She moved through the crowd with this lightness, like gravity hadn't quite figured out how to hold her down yet. Dimitri felt something shift in his chest, something he'd assumed had died centuries ago. "You're staring," said a voice beside him. He didn't turn. "I'm observing. You're staring like a starving man at a feast." His companion, another vampire named Costel, smirked. "Dangerous, brother. That one's mortal, and mortal means temporary." "Everything is temporary," Dimitri murmured. "Except us." 3 days later, Dimitri found himself at another gathering, and another. Always in the shadows, always watching Sânziana. She played piano at one soirée, Chopin's Nocturne in E-flat major, and her fingers moved across the keys like they were having a conversation with the instrument. Beautiful, isn't she? Dimitri turned. Count Petrescu himself stood beside him, brandy in hand, eyes on his daughter. "Extraordinarily so," Dimitri admitted. "She reads too much," the Count sighed. "Philosophy, poetry, French novels I pretend not to know about. Her mother worries she'll never find a suitable match." "Why not?" "Because she asks questions. Men don't like women who ask questions." Dimitri smiled for the first time in decades. "Then they're asking the wrong women." The Count studied him with new interest. "You're the antiquarian, yes? The one with the rare manuscript collection?" "I am." Sânziana would love to see it. She's writing a thesis on Romanian folklore, something about the Strigoi and Moroi legends. Dimitri's chest tightened. I would be honored to show her. Oh, the irony. She's literally researching vampires while a 300-year-old vampire is falling in love with her. The universe has a sick sense of humor, I swear. Sânziana arrived at his townhouse the following Tuesday, accompanied by a chaperone who immediately fell asleep in the sitting room. "Don't worry about her," Sânziana whispered, eyes dancing. Aunt Margareta could sleep through an earthquake. His library was 2 stories of floor-to-ceiling books, leather-bound and ancient. Sânziana gasped, actually gasped. This is overwhelming," Dimitri offered. "Heaven." She ran her fingers along the spines. "May I?" "Please." She pulled out a volume, De Masticatione Mortuorum, and carefully opened it. 1679, Leipzig. "This is rare," he finished. "Extraordinary." She looked up at him, and for a moment the air between them felt charged. "How did you acquire all this?" "Time," he said carefully. "I've had a great deal of time." "Do you believe in them?" she asked suddenly. "In what?" "Vampires. Strigoi. The undead." Dimitri's hand tightened on the book he was holding. "Why do you ask?" "Because every culture has the same stories. Different names, same creature. Immortal, bloodthirsty, cursed." She paused. "But some texts describe them differently, not as monsters, as tragic figures, trapped between worlds. And which do you believe?" She met his eyes. "I think anything that lives forever would have to feel both monstrous and tragic. How could you not?" He fell in love with her right then. Over the next 6 months, they met in secret. The library became their sanctuary. He taught her Latin. She taught him to laugh again. He showed her manuscripts. She showed him how to see the world as if it were new. One evening in late October, they stood on his terrace overlooking the city. Autumn had turned the trees to copper and gold. "I have something for you," Sânziana said softly. She pulled out a silver pendant, a crescent moon, delicately engraved. "It was my grandmother's," she explained. "The moon represents, well, things that return, cycles, constancy even in change." Dimitri took it carefully. "I cannot accept this." "Why not?" "Because I have nothing of equal value to give you." She laughed, that low, musical laugh he'd grown addicted to. "Dimitri, you've given me 6 months of the most interesting conversations of my life. You've treated my mind like it matters. You've never once told me I ask too many questions." She stepped closer. "Keep it, so you remember me." His throat tightened. "I could never forget you. Promise? I promise." That night he decided he would tell her everything. And if she accepted him, truly accepted him, he would offer her the choice, eternity, together. He rehearsed it 100 times, 1,000, but he waited too long. December brought snow, and with it, sickness. Tuberculosis swept through Bucharest like a ghost. And Sânziana, who spent her days visiting the poor with her mother's charity organization, caught it. By the time Dimitri learned she was ill, she'd been bedridden for 2 weeks. He went to her window that night. Propriety be damned. She was paper pale, her breathing shallow. "Dimitri?" She smiled weakly. "You shouldn't be here." "I'm exactly where I should be." He knelt beside her bed. "Sânziana, listen to me. I can save you." "The doctor said—" "Forget the doctors." His hand shook. "I can give you more time. I can give you forever." She studied his face. "You're serious." "I am what you've been researching. I am Strigoi. I am vampire. And I can transform you. You would live. We would live. Together." Tears slipped down her cheeks. "How long have you—" 300 years. And you chose me? You chose yourself, by being exactly who you are." She reached for his hand. "Then do it. Transform me. I'm not afraid." He bit his wrist, brought it to her lips. She drank. But her body was too weak. The transformation requires strength, a fight between death and rebirth. She had nothing left to fight with. She died at dawn, his name on her lips. Dimitri buried her himself in the family crypt. He placed the crescent moon pendant in her hands, closed the casket, and walked away. He left Bucharest that night and swore never to love again. Londres, 2010. 116 years later, Dimitri owned an antique shop in Bloomsbury. Books, mostly, manuscripts, objects with history. It was raining, because of course it was raining. This is London, when the bell above the door chimed. A woman stepped in, shaking water from her dark hair. Dimitri looked up from his inventory ledger and froze. She wasn't identical. The bone structure was slightly different. The eyes were hazel instead of dark brown. But the way she moved, that lightness, like gravity, was optional, and when she smiled apologetically for dripping on his floor. "Sorry," she said. Terrible weather. British accent, modern clothes, completely different era. But something in his chest recognized her anyway. "Can I help you?" His voice came out rough. "I hope so. I have this pendant I need appraised." She pulled out a small velvet pouch. "It's been in my family forever, but I'm a broke grad student and—" She stopped. "Are you all right? You look like you've seen a ghost." He had. She opened the pouch. The crescent moon pendant gleamed silver in the lamplight. "Where did you get this?" he whispered. "Family heirloom, my great-great-great-grandmother or something. Her name was Sânziana, same as mine, actually. Well, technically I go by Ziana because Sânziana is a mouthful in London, but—" She frowned. "Seriously, are you okay?" He couldn't breathe. Didn't need to, technically, but the habit was hard to break. "This pendant," he said carefully, "do you know its history?" "Not really, just that it belonged to her, and she died really young. Tuberculosis, I think, and apparently she was in love with someone, but no one knows who." Sânziana tilted her head. "Why? Is it valuable?" "Priceless." "Oh," her face fell. "So I definitely can't afford to keep it. I'm not buying it." "But you just said—" "I said it's priceless, which means I'm not letting you sell it." He looked at her, really looked at her. "What's your full name?" "Sânziana Petrescu. My family's Romanian, but I was born here. I'm doing my PhD in folklore and mythology at UCL." She laughed. "Specifically vampire folklore, if you can believe it. I swear I'm not a weirdo." Dimitri's world tilted. "Coffee?" he said abruptly. "Let me buy you coffee, and I'll tell you about your great-great-great-grandmother." She blinked. "You know about her?" "More than you can possibly imagine." Over the next 3 weeks, Dimitri did something he'd never done before. He let someone in. They met at cafes, walked through museums, talked for hours. He told her about Bucharest in 1894, about a woman named Sânziana who asked too many questions and loved too fiercely. He didn't tell her the rest, not yet, but Sânziana was smart, observant. "You talk about her like you knew her," she said one evening in his shop. "I did." "That's impossible. That was over a century ago." "Yes." She stared at him. "Dimitri, I know how this sounds. You're saying you're, what, immortal?" "I'm saying that pendant in your bag, I gave it to her, and when she died I buried it with her, and I have no idea how it ended up in your hands." "This is insane." "I know." "You're serious?" "Completely." Sânziana stood, paced, ran her hands through her hair. Then she pulled out her phone, scrolled, and showed him a photo. "This is from the Romanian National Archives. I found it last year while researching." It was a daguerreotype, faded, damaged by time, but unmistakably Sânziana Petrescu, holding a book, standing beside a man whose face was turned away from the camera. The notes say she died in 1894, and that this was taken with an unnamed companion, a scholar. She looked up at him. "That's you, isn't it?" He nodded. "Prove it," she whispered. "Prove you're what you say you are." So he did. They stood on the same terrace where Dimitri had stood with Sânziana 116 years earlier. "I'm not her," Sânziana said quietly. "I know. I don't remember a past life or anything like that. I know. But I feel—" She touched the pendant at her throat. "I feel like I've been looking for something my whole life, and when I walked into your shop, I found it." Dimitri closed his eyes. "Don't. Don't what?" "Don't make me hope." "Why not?" "Because I lost her once. I can't—" His voice cracked. "I can't lose you too." Sânziana stepped closer. "Then don't. Transform me." "You don't know what you're asking." "I do. I've researched it. I've thought about it, and I'm asking anyway." "You'll lose everything. Daylight, warmth, mortality, the chance to grow old and die peacefully. And I'll gain everything, time, strength, forever with you." She cupped his face. "Dimitri, she died wishing for more time. I have that choice. I'm not wasting it." "Are you sure?" he whispered. "I've never been more sure of anything." "Then we do this properly, not like before." He took her hands. "I need you strong, healthy, ready." "How long?" 3 days. Eat well, rest, prepare yourself." She smiled. "And then?" "And then I give you eternity." 3 nights later, under a new moon, Sânziana returned to his shop. She wore white, a deliberate choice. "Last chance," Dimitri said. "Walk away, and I'll never contact you again. You can live a normal life." "I don't want normal." She sat beside him. "I want extraordinary. I want you. I want forever." He bit his wrist, offered it to her. She drank. The transformation took hours. Her body fought. But unlike Sânziana, she had the strength to fight back. To win. When she opened her eyes at dawn, they were no longer hazel. They were amber. Eternal. "How do you feel?" Dimitri asked. Sânziana looked at her hands, felt the power humming under her skin, heard his heartbeat, slow and steady after centuries of practice. "Like I've been asleep my whole life," she whispered, "and I just woke up." He pulled her close. "Welcome to forever." She kissed him, and this time he didn't have to hold back, didn't have to be gentle or careful or afraid of breaking her, because she was just as strong as he was now, just as eternal. 6 months later, they stood in the Petrescu family crypt in Bucharest. Sânziana placed flowers on the grave of her namesake. "Do you think she'd approve?" she asked. Dimitri touched the marble. "I think she'd be relieved that her death wasn't meaningless, that it led to this. To us. To us." Sânziana took his hand. "Where do we go now?" "Anywhere, everywhere. We have time." She smiled, that same bright smile that had caught him over a century ago. Different face, same soul. "Then let's not waste it." They walked out of the crypt together, into the night. Into forever. And that, my friends, is the story of Dimitri and Sânziana. Or Dimitri and Sânziana. Or maybe it's the same story twice. I honestly don't know. But I know this. Love that's strong doesn't die. It just waits. Sometimes for 116 years. Sometimes for eternity. But it waits. And when it comes back, hold on tight. Because forever is a long time. But with the right person, it's not nearly long enough.